Preventing teams from becoming stagnant and rigid. Because work teams have become increasingly more prevalent as a result of a variety of global forces in the world today, we are going to start by defining groups, group dynamics, stagnation, and rigidity. In this presentation, Group 14 is going to start by providing definitions on groups, group dynamics, teams, team rigidity, and stagnation. We will state the types of teams and what they can do to prevent rigidity. We will discuss factors that contribute to team stagnation and rigidity. We will highlight characteristics of effective teams as a solution to effectively move away from stagnation and rigidity. And in conclusion, we will provide recommendations for enhancing team effectiveness. To begin, we first need to put things into perspective by understanding what a group is. Forsyth defines group as two or more individuals who are connected by and within social relationships. Forsyth goes on to further define groups through various perspectives. Out of the definitions, the three that most accurately defining groups over their main characteristics are the structure. A social unit which consists of a number of individuals who stand in more or less a definite status and role relationships to one another, and which possess a set of values or norms of their own regulating the behavior of individual members, at least in matters of consequence to the group. Interdependence, a dynamic whole based on the interdependence rather than the similarity of each other. And interrelations, an aggregation of two or more people who are to some degree in dynamic interrelation with one another. Group dynamics are important in understanding the way that groups behave. It highlights what constitutes good and bad group dynamics. Group dynamics can be described as the influential interpersonal processes that occur in and between groups over time. The processes are concerned around performance, the context, and conflict determine the nature of the group, the action taken by the group, and the group's response to their environment. The way that groups behave can either enhance or negatively impact the effectiveness of their teamwork. The rigid and stagnant team. Understanding the causes of rigidity and stagnant team helps us to move away from this in forming an effective team that fosters movement and growth. Rigidity is defined by dictionary.com as being inflexible, strict, or severe, a rigid disciplinarian, or rigid rules of social behavior. Stagnation is characterized by a lack of development, advancement, or progressive movement. Stagnation is the opposite of mobility and refers to a level of comfort in one's current state with no desire to advance or reach one's full potential. I think we could say we refer to this as our comfort zones. The prevention of stagnation and rigidity in teams means that leaders need to ensure that effective work teams are created in order to prevent stagnation and rigidity within the organization. Understanding work teams. A work team is a group of people who work together to achieve the goals of an organization. They are people from diverse cultural and professional backgrounds who must work together to enable more rapid, flexible, to adapt their responses to the unexpected. Stagnant or rigid teams. What should managers do in order to prevent stagnation and rigidity? A stagnant or a rigid team will contribute to an unproductive organizational culture. To avoid this, leaders and managers should be cognizant of stagnation and rigidity and the causes thereof within their own individual organizations. Leaders and managers should channel their focus on creating vibrant and effective teams that show movement and growth. Work teams and work groups. A team is different from a group, and understanding the differences aids in defining the rules and the roles of team members. Work groups. Their skills are random. Each member is individually accountable. There is no need for engaging collaboratively with each other, but information is shared. They may not necessarily be working on the same goal. In contrast, we have work teams. They work collectively in an interactive, collaborative, and cooperative manner. They are there to achieve the same goals, and they express their opinions and questions. Work teams can be seen through the lens of a three-stage model. Number 1, the utilization of resources. Number 2, the upholding of internal processes. And number 3, the attainment of specific outcomes. Enhancing team effectiveness. Not having a strong concept of effective teamwork and associated strategies can set a team up for failure, for rigidity, and stagnation. Effective teamwork. In contrast to rigidity and stagnation, effective teams will assist in creating a healthy work environment. They will aid in decision-making. They will formulate positive strategies. They will build the emotional security and self-confidence of members. A rigid and stagnant team, there will be the dominance of an individual member. There will be poor outlining of tasks and goals. Members will breed resentment and negativity for their lack of shared effort. This will result in low morale, disappointment, decreased productivity, and occupational failure. The above are all detrimental to an organization and its achievement of its goals. The 5 most important characteristics of teams: the membership, their interdependence, their shared goals, their group dynamics, and the context of the organization in which they work. Traditionally, teams had a stable membership and had an enduring, long lifestyle. Today, however, teams are dynamic and fluid in nature. This assists in maintaining flexibility, and it is essential for preventing stagnation and a rigid membership. Members of dynamic teams need to identify with the culture of the organization for effective collaboration, coordination, and cooperation to take place as they assemble, disband, and reassemble in different configurations and navigate changing expectations, goals, and demands. Characteristics of effective teamwork. Understanding the characteristics helps to prevent stagnation and rigidity. The organizational structure. There is clear, purposeful, and favorable culture. There is specified tasks, explicit roles, appropriate leadership, relevant members, and adequate financial, administrative, and technical resources. Within the individual contribution, individuals are conscientious and open-minded. They contribute their self-knowledge, they trust, they are committed and flexible. Team processes. There is coordination, communication, cohesion, collaborative decision-making, conflict management, social relationships are mentored, and there's performance feedback. Types of teams. Understanding types of teams assists in deciding the most efficient. There are problem-solving teams. Problem-solving teams focus on improving the quality and efficiency and the work environment. To prevent stagnation, however, they need meaningful management and support and adequate ongoing training. Self-managed teams take responsibility from former supervisors, the highest form of teamwork. They do not manage conflict well. To prevent stagnation in self-managed teams, there needs to be involvement, empowerment, enabling, leadership, and evolution. Cross-functional teams need time to build trust. They work with complexity and diversity. They have the same hierarchical level. There are differing work levels, but they are at risk of rigidity. Virtual teams is very prevalent in today's global world. They are reliant on technology to unite. Their members are physically dispersed, and they need to work together towards a common goal. The disadvantage of this is that there is a lack of social support, rapport, and face-to-face interaction, which can cause stagnation. It is important to establish trust, monitor team progress, and publicly acknowledge efforts and achievements. Alleviating rigidity and stagnation in a team. Team composition, group properties, the roles, the norms, the status, the diversity, the size and cohesiveness, the preference for teamwork are all critical for success in shaping and predicting the behavior, and then the abilities and the personalities of the people in the team, their creativity, their agreeableness, and their conscientiousness. The allocation of roles within a team. Assigning key roles is key to preventing stagnation and rigidity. The roles of those who manage the workflow of the team helps to prevent stagnation. Effective teams are diverse and have identifiable role players who contribute to their own individuality and talent to the team. Effective teams are not made up of only one personality type. Individual differences need to be managed. Role players are given the opportunity to shine. Employees will be empowered and they will grow. The chance of losing valuable employees will decrease. Who are the role players in forming a dynamic team? Meredith Belbin identified 8 different role players in effective teams. Role players influence whether a team will become stagnant or rigid. The company worker. This is a hard-working individual who gets the job done. The chairman. This person's role is objective-orientated and is there to achieve the goals. The shaper. This is the person who is very dynamic and gives shape to the task at hand. The plant. Here, this individual is imaginative and inspires growth within the team. The resource investigator. This is the person who creates contacts, who finds the necessary resources and ensures they are there for the team to function well. The monitor or the evaluator. This individual is unemotional and compares the outcomes to the goals. The team worker. This person is enthusiastic and promotes team spirit. The completer or the finisher ensures follow through and the task is completed to all satisfaction. The success of each role will add to the combined success of the team in totality. What contributes to stagnation and rigidity? The following slides are going to illuminate contributing factors to rigidity and stagnation. Team size. As groups increase in size, the number of relationships needed to link each member to every other member increases. Only one relationship is needed to form a dyad of 2 members, but 3, 6, 10, and 15 relations are needed as groups increase in size from 3 to 6 members. In even larger groups, the number of relations needed to link all members to each other becomes so great that some members are only linked indirectly to each other. Team size is a key determinant of team cohesiveness, accountability, and effective communication. Larger teams are at risk of social loafing. What is social loafing? Social loafing is the tendency for individuals to expend less effort when working collectively than when working alone. Smaller groups not only work faster, there is less risk of stagnation, and they perform better. Norms. Powerful forms of behavior that make groups susceptible to rigidity. They are unspoken rules that have an impact on performance. There are norms of performance, appearance, and social arrangement. Members can be pressured to change their attitudes and behaviors to conform with group standards. Status. A socially defined position or rank given to groups or group members. There is the lead to pressure to conform. It creates hierarchies in a team. It leads to frustration. It inhibits creativity and participation of the individual. It places the team at risk of stagnation and for decreased productivity. It is imperative that team members view status hierarchy as equitable. Deviant workplace behavior is voluntary and thrives when advocated by norms. It is a chain reaction in a group that stems from negative behaviors. Negative behaviors promote stagnation in terms which will in effect affect the organizational culture and effectiveness of the organization. It is the shrinking and undermining of co-workers and being uncooperative. This affects productivity and the achievement of goals. Effective communication. What follows are the aspects of communication that have been identified as central to effective teamwork. Sharing information, expressing one's own thoughts and opinions, and clarifying what is heard to ensure understanding. Studies have revealed that teams dominated by rigid authorities are discouraged, and members are discouraged from expressing their thoughts and ideas freely. This inflexible type of leadership results in lowered success in relation to task completion. When objectives are not clarified and roles and tasks are not equally delegated, the resultant lack of task coordination leads teams to team stagnation. Vibrant teams. Vibrant teams feel psychologically safe. Their views and opinions and concerns are aired without fear of ridicule or recrimination. They communicate well. When help is needed, they ask for it. Tasks are delegated and responsibilities are shared. Employees are emotionally intelligent. They are productive and they meet the organizational goals. They are self-aware. Members know what needs to be done, and members are accountable. Managers should be solution-focused. They need to create environments where teams are allowed to be vibrant and not stifled. They need to focus on team effectiveness to ensure that teams are vibrant, that growth is promoted, and as is flexibility. Educational contexts have multidimensional team effectiveness. The context, the composition, and the process of these teams is important. Education is a multidimensional context. Multi-team systems are different teams working together, coordinating their efforts to achieve the organizational goals. Example, in a primary school, their teams are foundation phase, intermediate, senior phase, general assistance, SGB, administrative assistance. The teams are kept vibrant by sharing leadership. There are HODs, ground supervisors, chairperson. Information sharing is encouraged, and in this way, employee engagement is initiated. Margerisson and McCann spoke about linking skills when dealing with multidimensional and multi-system teams. There should be active listening. There should be an emphasis on building team relationships. Team members need to be developed and motivation encouraged, and participative decision-making needs to be encouraged rather. Employee engagement will then be encouraged, people will be empowered, they will grow and advance. Hence, stagnation should not result. Shared mental modes. Team members who share similar mental models of shared knowledge and beliefs about how work gets done will engage more easily, keeping stagnation and rigidity at bay. Shared mental models lead to better collective responses. It saves time and conflict is less likely to arise. Conflict is a cause of stagnation and rigidity as members tend to withdraw. The silo mentality is when a member of the team focuses only on their own interests and not what is good for the team. Solutions for creating effective teams. Truly effective teams integrate cognitive, motivational, affective, and coordinated processes. Setting clearly defined group goals is very important. Increasing intergroup competition with the focus on a shared and agreed upon outcome. Engaging in peer evaluation is essential to gauge one another's contribution. Choosing members who are highly motivated and enjoy teamwork is important. Ensuring recognition and rewards are partly aligned to each individual's contribution to the team. Solutions for creating effective teams. Smaller groups of approximately 5 members. We suggest that members should be in agreement over the group goals. Members need to spend sufficient time together. Competition with other groups is beneficial. Increasing group status as well as physically isolating the group promotes cohesiveness. Individuals with technical expertise, problem solving, decision making, and interpersonal skills, conscientiousness, and openness should always be considered when looking to put teams together. Conclusion: the implications for management and the organization. Managers need to move away from encouraging stagnation and rigidity by being aware of its causes. Avoiding rigidity and stagnation involves support, development, and training. Management needs to enhance team effectiveness as per the methods mentioned earlier in the presentation. Responsibility needs to be taken for providing a work environment that allows employees to grow and develop. Implications at levels in the organization. For the individual, empowerment. It enhances confidence and work satisfaction, increases self-gratification. Personal empowerment is the process that happens between the person and their surroundings. The team should be perceived as a group consisting of varying strengths and weaknesses that can be embraced within the organization. The management and the organization. There should be a focus on smaller groups to avoid social loafing. Cohesiveness influences a group's level of productivity. Management needs to develop their team members through effective team strategies, and individual strengths and weaknesses need to be identified. Thank you.